First impressions shouldn't matter in an 82-game season, but the Suns gave us a little of everything on Thursday. In the first half, they looked like a team that might lose 60 games. At one point, I looked at Devin Booker sitting on the bench when the Suns were trailing by double digits, and I thought, yep, he'll be out of here by mid-February. But in the second half, they showed the fight and the grit they had promised. The arena came alive, and in the end, they were 1-0 with an even bigger victory than the one in the win column. They look like a basketball team worth watching. Now, there are still obvious concerns. The team badly needs more elite scorers, and the return of Jalen Green is more important than I originally anticipated, but I have already seen Kevin Durant nearly cost the Rockets a game with sloppy errors. I have listened to Laker fans scream at DeAndre Ayton, and they have only scratched the surface of their impending frustration, and I watched Bradley Beal and the Clippers get blown out by the worst team in the Western Conference. So yeah, I'm happy. We've got a basketball team that actually cares, and after the past 2 seasons, that's good enough for me. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
It was just nasty overall, kind of throughout. I made a few shots in the third, but, I think 6 or 7 turnovers and 5 missed free throws. It hurt a lot worse in the loss, so, I'm happy we scrapped that out and figured a way.
Do you take solace in being that kind of guy where, you feel you described your play as nasty and yet you look at your production and it was there, or is it more about the quality you felt overall?
It was quality, just careless with the ball, just losing it, just unlike me. Just got to lock in.
That was Devin Booker after the game describing his own performance as nasty. I think a lot of this you can go back to, and I'm not saying they're the same player or even the same caliber of scorer, but go back to Tuesday night in the Oklahoma City-Houston game. Mm-hmm. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is unstoppable. We're agreed on that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's unbelievable.
He did nothing in the first half of that game. And then when the game's over, and yes, it went to double overtime.
Yeah, he
finds a way to get 35.
36, whatever it is, yeah.
Devin Booker threw out his own nasty play, shot over 50% from the floor. Took 5 less shots than Dylan Brooks. He did miss the 5 free throws. He did have the turnovers, but still ends up with 31 points.
To me, he made the biggest shot of the game.
He did.
It was I think 113 to 111. He took that nice little slip pass from Colin Gillespie, took a couple dribbles left and a little baby fadeaway over Dennis Schroeder, and he made it look easy. And so that's the big moment where he kind of validated everything that was not happening for him in the first half, right? So yeah, listen, I think that's for an opening display of basketball. I wasn't expecting the concerns that I felt in the first half, and like you, I was being very reactionary, very much like, oh, I cannot believe I bought into this optimism.
But when the Suns finally found their footing and made it a game, even if had they lost that game, the tone of what I wanted to talk about changed greatly in the second half of that game because of what they were able to do.
I agree.
They were competitive. Even better, they got the win. But that just shows you again, and I don't want this year to be a dwelling on how bad the Big Three era was and how disappointing it was. Yes, it's going to get talked about at the beginning of the season because it's new. And you got guys wearing different uniforms now. We talked about a little bit about Bradley Beal's debut with L.A. Didn't go very well.
No,
Kevin Durant's debut with Houston didn't go very well
Not really.
for him. That's not going to be a daily focus. And I think, it's not going to be a daily focus if the Suns continue to play with this effort and energy. And I don't think he'll ever admit it, but Matt Ishbia himself, who's been the biggest flag waver for, hey, we have identity and alignment, and that's going to be a team that this fan base is going to be proud of. At halftime, he was probably somewhere private shaking his head.
Yeah.
Because that was not.
No.
I'm not saying they didn't try, but the results were nearly disastrous.
It just felt in the first half that, and they got off to a decent start, but it just felt that, man, they just can't get a good shot, and they don't have good shot makers who can rescue them from bad, stagnant possessions. And that's what I started to get worried about. I started thinking, if they look this way against the Sacramento Kings, what are they going to do against top 8 teams in the Western Conference? Now, it still may happen,
Yes, it's still they played one good half of basketball.
That's it.
But what I was thinking specifically was like, well, if Devin Booker doesn't have a all-star, almost MVP-worthy game every game, then they have no chance. But they wound up playing better in the second half, but the rest of the team definitely picked them up.
Look, and people might hear you say that and say, well, that's not the case. And things will change a little bit when Jalen Green is healthy and contributing, especially offensively. But I don't think what you said is necessarily unfair when it comes to Devin Booker. And we had a piece that's published on ArizonaSports.com, Kevin Zimmerman put together and asked us all, hey, what does this year mean for Devin Booker? And that's kind of what it is. Yes, it's about leadership, but he needs to challenge for a scoring title this year.
Yes.
Because he's got that ability. He needs to be around 30 points per game.
Yes. He's got the ability, he's got the platform, and the team needs him to do this. There's nobody to defer to here. You know, and so, yeah, that's kind of the facts of the matter regarding that. And listen, and I get what you're saying, and I don't mean to kind of I don't want to spend the entire season, you know, looking for KD gaffes to kind of, you know, help rationalize what we all went through last year, or DeAndre Ayton's struggles in L.A. We both know that DeAndre Ayton surged once in Phoenix, and that is because Chris Paul pushed him to the brink. Chris Paul learned that, okay, DeAndre Ayton, if you give him the ball anywhere but up top, he's going to bring it down to his ankles. It's going to be taken away from him. So every pass that Chris Paul would throw, he'd throw it right to the place where DA could be comfortable catching it, and he resisted every step of it. But Chris Paul is a hard guy to you know, rebel against, and what the Lakers are in for this year, it's going to get crazy with their unhappiness. You said it best. Nobody cared the last 2 years because he was in Portland. Now he's on the biggest stage, and one of the biggest stages in basketball. So
they have their own network.
That's it. So that's it. So I think that it's going to get very loud for him. And then the KD thing in Houston with all those expectations, we're going to see what that looks like. I saw a lot of what KD did in Phoenix in Game 1 with Houston. A lot of the standing around, asking for the ball. And maybe that's exactly what they need. But
how about KD being introduced in the starting lineup as a guard?
He had to be.
He had to be.
Yeah.
That's something to look for with Houston, too.
Yeah.
Look, we talked about that with the Suns. Who's going to run the point? Who's going to initiate offense? And there was a various number of players who did it last night.
Yeah.
But Amen Thompson is a fantastic player. Him at point guard?
No, but
I'm not sure. Reed Shepherd came in off the bench. I think he's eventually going to be the guy. That might be what holds Houston back.
I
Is
agree.
Fred VanVleet not being out there was such an enormous injury for them.
I know Reed Shepherd is a really skilled offensive player, but at his size, how did he go third overall?
Because that draft class sucked.
Because generally a guy of that size, you're
Yes,
not going
no.
third overall.
No, but that shows you how poor
Yeah.
that draft class was
Yeah.
in relation to the rest of
But it's
Same draft class as Dillingham, correct?
Ricochet, that draft class.
Yeah.
Kenny Dillingham?
No.
No, Rob Dillingham.
Rob Dillingham.
Because he's another undersized guard that went
Yeah.
really, really
Really
high.
wow.
Can I say this
listen-
too?
What's that?
I've
Yeah.
been resistant to subscribe to the Victor Wembanyama thing.
Just buying in.
And now
He's
it's
wrecking the league
impossible.
this year.
It's one game, yes, but San Antonio's roster, they might be like top 3 in the West.
Here's the thing with San
They're
Antonio.
really good.
They're really good.
Is you don't have to like the team, but watching Wemby can be enjoyable. That's how I view my Spurs viewhood.
See, but you don't
Viewhood?
understand. You don't understand, Vinny. Anything that's a threat to the Suns, Vinny cannot enjoy watching.
Oh,
He
really?
can't, no, it's part of his DNA. It's the way he's a born and bred Suns fan from.
Especially
way
the
back when.
Spurs.
Yeah. Oh, it's
There's
impossible.
And the Lakers.
There's a lot of scar tissue there.
Yeah.
No, I get that. But as a basketball fan, watching Wemby is
Right.
Yeah, but still, part of me is like, he's 7'5". He should do these things.
There's been a lot of
He
tall
can
guys.
dunk without jumping. Of course, he can do these things. He
he
can
should
dunk
be
from the
doing
free
these
throw
things.
line without moving his feet.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.